out there this morning.
He's had a really, really good month. He isn't 3 yet, so he's just getting into that frame. He's growing into that frame and muscling up and getting like that baby fat. He's a 17-hand horse, you know, and it takes him a little while, but he is responding really well physically, very well.
Does he remind you of Justify? I mean, that's high praise. I mean, Justify and then
He does
being Triple
remind me.
Crown.
He looks exactly like him. You know, if you see them side by side in the photo, you know, standing up, they look very, very similar. You could trade them back and forth. You wouldn't know the difference. And he's developing very good at the right time.
Just talk a little bit about the decision to wait from the Virginia Derby to the Kentucky Derby.
Well, I got eyes over that a little bit. I wondered if I could train him for 6 weeks and do a good job or not. But I looked at it and I thought, well, maybe we take a little softer approach and have a fresher horse, and if we get lucky here, we'd be better in the next one, obviously. But we've been training him. He hasn't had any vacation. He worked 110 and 2, I think, the other day. That's serious time. And they were talking about the Virginia Derby. He ran a mile in 1:33. If you're running downhill, it's hard to run a mile in 1:33. I mean, if he was on some hill and running down, that's hard to do for a colt.
Speaking of the Virginia Derby, you've set a lot of records. How does it sound being the first Derby winner, at least more than modern times, to prep in Virginia? Maybe way back when the Derby was young, there was some Virginia horses that ran.
They were great. The first lady of Virginia, obviously the governor's wife, sent me a beautiful letter about how important it was and the way it all came off and everything. Trophies, they duplicated them because of Bellinger and Coelho. I mean, they were very, very appreciative of us being. I took a little bit of a chance there, but I thought I could back it up with the Bluegrass or the Lexington if I had to. But that was a must-win race, and he responded beautifully.
Has it just taken a little time to figure him out?
No, he's just like a big awkward kid. He just needed some time. He's very easy to train, but you know, when they're that big, you can't push on them. I found that if you push on those big horses, you know, too early, they get a little bit sour. You take the joy out of it. There's a fine line between staleness and physical fitness. You try to get them fit and yet not have them stale. You push those big horses, I found they get stale quick.
As much mental as it is you got to wait to him to catch up physically, but you got to be careful of the mental that you don't take that out of kilter in the process.
He's responding really well now, even better. He's had the last month now has been good.
Obviously, you haven't been afraid to give young jocks a chance, but going into this race with, was it last year that Keith Asmussen?
Yeah.
And then this year you've got Nik.
Keith rode for us again this year a little bit. Nik Juarez he rode him very well. Nik is the right size. He's enthusiastic. He has some natural ability. Obviously when he won the Virginia race, the phone rang and they said, "Oh, you know, where you going next with him and what is he open or not?" But it was a picture perfect ride. I thought so. It did exactly what we wanted. I don't see why you can't get him around. I told my chief clientele, I said, you know, think about this a little bit. When these yearlings are, you know, up and in the program, I'll be 92. So I said, you may want to back up, maybe not buy as many. You may want to split them up with some other people. I said, you should think about that. And they said, no, don't worry about that. They went right in and bought 18 head. The other thing that happened is our business, the last 6 months, had just taken off. Now, you mentioned the 2-year-old in training sale. we ended up with 6 head out of there, and I don't even know what number they were, or who had them, or anything. But Dean Lorenzo and those guys called me and said, "You've got to get these 3. They're really special." You know, and I turned down 17 head last night.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't want to. I want to stay in one barn, 40 stalls here, 40 stalls at Hot Springs, whatever. But we've run the red light on that. We're up to about 52 or 3 now, and I'd like to get that down.
That's your concession to being 89 is you're going to limit it to 40 horses. At 70, I think you started using a step to get on the pony, maybe a low step.
Yeah, I'm the most comfortable on the horse. I know if I have to walk, you know, around, but it wears me out. Saratoga was tough last summer, you know, going across that big paddock and up to the box seats and back. My legs, but if I'm on a pony, I'm perfectly comfortable. So I was telling John Bellinger the other day, I said, "Yeah, my legs got tired." And he said, "That's fine, don't worry about that, just don't lose your mind."
Didn't they just call you out of the blue? Like call you? Or how did you?
We have a mutual friend, Dr. Charlie Graham, who is very much connected at Texas A&M. And Charlie Graham was instrumental. And if you go to the there's a multi-million-dollar equal facility there. And if you go in the main entrance, there's a big copper thing with all of our credits on it, and then all down the hall are all the champions' pictures. And I don't have any association with Texas A&M. They honored me and did all that.
Yeah, because you went down there and spoke, didn't you?
Oh yeah, but well, I accepted all that. But the mutual friend is Dr. Charlie Graham, who's big at Texas A&M, and John Bellinger is the head of the board of trustees. So he's up there, and he's very close to Governor Abbott too.
So did Charlie were they asking him, who would you send horses to? Or
he was my guest at the Derby one year. And then I never heard about him again for 5-6 years. And one day the phone rang and he said, "Brian Coelho and I are ready to get in, have some racehorses, and we're gonna go with you." And it just took off. They have really stepped up too.
Can you talk about just the purchasing of American Promise?
Well, he was my number one. He was my number one pick of the male yearlings. He had bumped his knee, and a lot of people were thinking, you know, "Oh, he's got a bad knee," but that was just a bump, and it went down in a week. But he fit all of everything for me. It's really gotten tougher is that those 5 or 6 people that are real bullish on the industry in general are holding hands now and making sure they all get a piece of a good one.
Yeah. Just put in perspective just how...
I'm still going to beat her.
the satisfaction of, you know, again, at 89, your business is really picking up.
The business has really been good. I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. What do you think it was? I mean, obviously, because there was a time it seemed like you never forgot how to train, but you didn't have the stock that you've had the last few years.
Well, I even took it a step further, Jeannie. I told my wife, I said, you know, at 89, 90, 91, 92, maybe what we should do is just buy 3 or 4 for our own account, and then we can just have fun. We don't care what they do. You know, they can take them and send them to somebody else. We'll have 4 or 5 here and just enjoy it, you know. And so I bought 4 or 5, and we now got 11 racehorses. And that got out of hand. Now we're trying to figure out what to back up and make room for the other guys' horses. We don't want to take the stalls. But we got some really nice colts.
Mel Studi, told me, this was some years ago, that when he was a young guy, nobody wanted the young guys. They wanted the old guys. And then when he became an old guy, he said they all wanted the young guys.
That's right.
But you've bucked that.
Well, there's no how-to book, so what happens here is there's a lot of guys that have just had a little background in it, some of them a lot, but they hang out their shingle and they get a stable going. But if you've got those younger guys are going to make mistakes just like we all did. I made a lot of them, and I think back, and they'll learn, especially in this race. I've seen that already.